I was truly hoping there was going to be an alliance this year amongst all 31 teams against the Chiefs when it came to trades. Like, why'd the Titans have to trade DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs? The Chiefs were hurting at the receiver position. Like, why are we helping them get the three-peat? Like, just when they were a little bit down, and my God, they're not even that far down because they're still 6-0. Just when you thought, like, okay, maybe there's gonna be some weaknesses with this Chiefs team that other AFC teams can exploit later in the season and in the playoffs. Even though they are 6-0, they're finding ways to win. Like, it's gonna be hard to keep it up with the receiving core that they have and all the injuries that they've sustained. Rashee Rice out for the season. Juju, he's come down with something. He's banged. I think he's going to be week to week. Like, he's not out for the season or anything, but he's going to be limited for the foreseeable future. Marquise Brown, he's out until the playoffs potentially, and even when he gets back for the playoffs, there's going to be rust there. Xavier Worthy, as a rookie, I mean, he was the Chiefs' first-round pick this year. He still hasn't all the way figured it out. He's still going through some rookie pains. Travis Kelce, he ain't prime Travis Kelce anymore. He's still really good. So it's like, man, Chiefs, there's some weaknesses to this team. Now, the defense is probably all time. This might be the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has dealt with in his Chiefs career. But man, why are we giving the Chiefs some additional help when it looks like there could potentially be some weaknesses? There could be some things for opposing AFC teams to exploit later in the season and in the playoffs. Why are we doing that, man? Why? Why are we helping them get back for a three-peat? I get it. It was the Titans that traded Hopkins. Titans aren't going anywhere. They might as well get a draft pick for Hopkins because we know he's not coming back to Tennessee. He's on an expiring contract. He's unhappy right now. Titans aren't going anywhere this year. I get why you're trading Hopkins, but why to the Chiefs? Why couldn't all 31 teams have like a wink-wink agreement? We're not going to trade the Chiefs receivers. We're not going to do that. It didn't look like the Chiefs were going to need any receiver help to start the season with how Rashee Rice was playing, and obviously the fact that they signed Marquise Brown, drafted Xavier Worthy. But now, yes, they do need receiver help. Why are we helping them? Why are we giving them receivers for basically nothing? A fourth-round pick or a fifth-round pick that could potentially be a fourth-round pick? Conditional fifth-round pick? Come on, man. Come on. I was really hoping because DeAndre Hopkins isn't the only receiver available. There's other guys, Deontay Johnson's out there. There's a bunch of guys that we're going to be talking about the Steelers potentially looking at, and players that the Steelers have probably been looking at to trade for. There's going to be, based off a lot of reporters' predictions, there's going to be a lot of receiver trades when the trade deadline rolls around in a couple weeks here. But we got like, a week and a half or 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks, pretty much 2 weeks. It's going to be Tuesday, November 5th. Steelers are going to be on a bye leading up to that trade deadline. So Omar's going to have some time on his hands. He should be cooking. He should be working the lines. And I have no doubt he already is. So maybe, just maybe, my point is that if the Titans didn't trade the Chiefs Hopkins, someone else would have. But that's why I wanted the alliance. That's why I wanted everyone, all 31 teams outside of the Chiefs, to be in an agreement that, yeah, we're not going to give them any additional help. We're not going to do that. They got to deal with the team that they constructed this offseason, and that's that. If injuries happen, they happen. Let's see how good Mahomes can be. And honestly, like, Mahomes could probably just deal with the current Chiefs receiver core without DeAndre Hopkins and make a legit run and be legit Super Bowl contenders, because we've seen him do it last year with the Chiefs' worst receiving core that they've had all the way like throughout the whole Mahomes era. Like, that was probably the worst Chiefs team we're going to see with Mahomes at quarterback, most likely. Worst receiving core. Defense was so-so. And they still won the Super Bowl against the 49ers. Just stupid, man. Stupid. Why are we trading with the Chiefs? Why are we trading with the Chiefs? And when I say we, I'm just talking about the whole NFL. Anyone not named the Chiefs. Why is any team out there giving them additional help to three-peat? It's just no one wants to see it anymore. No one wants to see the Chiefs winning Super Bowls. No one wants to see it. We want to see the Steelers, but we got to see some new teams in the mix, man. It's getting old. It's definitely getting old. What's up with the people in the chat? Who's in here, man? We got Quan Summer. What up, bro? C. Smith, 267, is already saying trade for Cooper. He's not talking Amari Cooper. He's talking Cooper Kupp. Absolutely. And that was going to be my next point here. The Steelers obviously wanted Brandon Ayuk. They obviously were interested in Devontae Adams. They sure as hell better be in the mix for Cooper Kupp, because based off Diana Rossini's report yesterday, the Rams are seeking out Cooper Kupp trades. The Rams are having conversations with teams around the league. It's not the teams that are in a wide receiver need. It's not those teams reaching out to the Rams. It's the Rams reaching out to teams gauging the interest. So Cooper Kupp is absolutely on the table. Cooper Kupp is absolutely being shopped. So if the Steelers were looking at a Brandon Ayuk, a Devontae Adams, if they're in talks with the Jets for Mike Williams, we better be interested in Cooper Kupp, because he is arguably the best receiver of that bunch. It'd probably be between him and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, more regular season success, has stayed healthier throughout the course of his career, more gaudy numbers overall. But Cooper Kupp has reached peaks and heights that Devontae Adams never has, being the Triple Crown winner back in, was that 2021? It was like 3 years ago. And also winning the Super Bowl MVP. Has made it to 2 Super Bowls, actually. Went to Super Bowl back in 2019 with Jared Goff. Lost there, but I think has more playoff success and playoff experience overall than at Devontae Adams, but has reached the peak of being a Super Bowl MVP and winning the Triple Crown. Who was the last dude to even win a Triple Crown before Cooper Kupp? That was impressive, man. And you see him when he's out there and he's completely healthy. He's still in his prime. He just gets banged up and misses stretches of games way too often. But he's due to come back this week. So that's something, if the Steelers did trade for Cooper Kupp, would hopefully not have to worry about going forward. He's back healthy for this season. He had a high ankle sprain. I think it was week 2. But all trends, all signs are pointing in the right direction for him playing this week and being fully healthy and being available to whatever team trades for him. Yeah, we got to get Cooper Kupp, dude. With the Chiefs adding to their team, building up and getting ready for the home stretch here and getting ready for the playoffs, adding a DeAndre Hopkins, I think we got to build up our forces too here. I think we got to tighten up. We got to button up every little detail and make our weakness, which would be the receiver room. That's pretty much our only weakness right now that we've been talking about this season and even going back to the offseason. It's, I think at this point, really our only weakness. You could talk about O-line with some of our injuries, and you could talk about the slot corner or the cornerback 3 position, but we're 1 week away from getting Cam Sutton back. We've weathered the storm of having an undrafted rookie free agent out there for a ton of snaps and with Beanie Bishop, and he played really good. I think he played really good, considering the circumstances. There were times he's been getting cooked, but we've made it through. And then he had his best game yet last week, had a breakout performance with the 2 interceptions against Aaron Rodgers. And we're 5-2. And then after this week against the Giants, we get Cam Sutton back. So cornerback, don't really got to worry about. Corey Trice is going to be coming off of IR. We just called up CJ Henderson. I'm liking where we're at the quarterback position. And then O-line was supposed to be a strength, but with all these injuries, it's kind of become a weakness. But we've got some consistent play, I think, over the last couple of weeks. We've had a lineup for the most part. It's tough to say. I was going to say we've had a lineup that's been steady over the last couple of weeks, but then Zach Frazier got hurt just 2 weeks ago, and we had Ryan McCollum out there starting. But Ryan McCollum played pretty solid. I feel like we're good with our O-line where it is. Mason McCormick has been doing pretty good as a rookie over at the right guard spot, filling in for James Daniel. We know we got our bookends with Dan Moore, Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones obviously could use a little uptick in his play. But Sam Alu's been back, and we're going to get Zach Frazier back here shortly. We could rock with that offensive line. Because the only way I think we would have a significant improvement by bringing in a new guy for the offensive line is trading for a Pro Bowl type of dude. If we're just trading for a starting veteran dude, I think we would rather rock with a Mason McCormick, because the only position I could think of we would trade for is guard, specifically right guard. I think we'd rather just rock with Mason McCormick and see what he's got for the rest of the season, as opposed to trading for just a starting veteran dude that's out there. If we wanted to upgrade it, go get a Kevin Dotson. If the Rams are fire sailing, go bring back Kevin Dotson. Bring Kevin Dotson back home. But I don't think the Steelers would do that. We know us and him ended on rocky terms. And then what it would take to get him, I feel like we're just going to rock with what we got on the O-line. And I think if we can stay healthy, if we can continue to stay healthy with this unit, we're going to have at least an average line. So that's not going to be that heavy of a weakness, I think. Wide receiver, though, what's changed? I think we're still going to be talking about if we have enough at the receiver position outside of George Pickens. If Russ is playing like what he did last week, almost like how Justin Fields played against the Colts, if we're getting elite quarterback play or they're elevating the team around them, we can rock with what we got. But when you're thinking about going up against a team like the Chiefs, a team like the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals aren't going away. Joe Burrow's unfortunately back. I think we got to have the best arsenal we can at our disposal. And adding a Cooper Kupp, just another receiver in this mix, and an upgrade from the guys we got, at least does that, man. At least we could say we tried. We talk about Super Bowls. We talk about the standard being the standard. Mike Tomlin put Russell Wilson in on Sunday Night Football because he wanted to see which quarterback on this roster gave him and this team the best chance to win a Super Bowl. Omar Khan, all offseason, talked about constructing a roster to win Super Bowls. That's his goal, year in and year out. Art Rooney, the Rooney family. That's what the tradition is here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Super Bowls. If we're being legit, if we're being honest with ourselves and talking about Super Bowls, then why not turn over every stone? And that's what Omar Khan has done in the moves he's made. You see it with the interest we've had in a Brandon Ayuk, the interest we've had in Devontae Adams. So why aren't we going to try for a Cooper Kupp? Why wouldn't we try for him? The best receiver, arguably, out of that bunch. I would say best receiver out of that bunch. I would make that take. I would make that claim. Out of that bunch, Cooper Kupp, Ayuk, Devontae Adams, even Amari Cooper, he just got traded to the Bills. Any of the other receivers that are available right now, Cooper Kupp's the best guy. Let's make it happen. And it's not going to be anything groundbreaking, not going to be anything that breaks the bank that gets it done. Rams are looking for a second-round pick, and they are willing to take on a portion of his contract. I think maybe all of his contract for this year. I don't know if a portion of it for the future years. It's affordable. We can make it happen. You look at our second-round picks over the last let's just think of our second-round picks that were receivers over the last however many years. Claypool, Juju, George Pickens. Some of these are pretty good, actually. What other just let's go to other positions now. Keanu Benton was a second-round pick. This year we drafted Zach Frazier. That was a high-quality pick. I can't lie. So the more that I'm thinking about it, the Steelers can do some damage with second-round picks. We definitely can. That is a valuable pick. So if Omar can do it, let's maybe bump that to a third-round pick, and if we have to, include a player, which is something that's being talked about a little bit. Calvin Austin III's name is being floated out there as a name that might have to be included if we're gonna make a big-time receiver trade. Could Calvin Austin III be a piece that we include? Because if we don't wanna give up a second-round pick and we want it to be a higher pick, we're presumably gonna have to add a player. And Calvin Austin is a guy that I could see teams like the Rams coveting because of his speed and some of the upside that he brings. You had Brooke Pryor in a recent trade article, give her explanation as to why she thinks Calvin Austin III could be on the move. Because let's be clear, because injuries creating lack of depth at previously flushed positions, the Steelers don't have a legitimate trade candidate on their roster right now, sidelined by a calf injury. While Justin Fields went 4-2, Russell Wilson was a trendy pick before he threw 3 touchdowns in his Steelers debut. Now, though, the team certainly won't part with him or Fields. Okay, so sorry, I was reading the portion where she's talking about maybe trading either Fields or Russell Wilson. Or I guess Russell Wilson was the guy that was being most talked about with trades before this week, before we ended up declaring him the starter, and he played the way that he did. But she's right. I don't think we're not trading Fields either. We're not trading Russ. We're not trading Fields right now. It doesn't make sense. I think a Russ trade made more sense when Fields was in the middle of his win streak and was doing some things. But I don't think a team was going to offer anything up of substance that would have made the Steelers seriously consider moving off Russ. Because I think it would have had to have been a first-round pick or a second-round pick, but no team was going to offer that. The only scenario that makes Austin or any other player available a tradable asset is if trading him away gains a more established player at the position. Could Pittsburgh package Austin with a late-round pick to acquire a solid veteran number 2 receiver? It makes sense. I don't think we really want to part ways with Calvin Austin because we see some of the things he can do when he gets the ball. Going back to that Chargers game, the Justin Fields throw over the middle where he took it to the house. We see he's been getting open in recent weeks too. It's just that he hasn't been the number 1 priority or the number 1 read. Russell Wilson got him a couple targets in this Sunday Night Football game. He's also compared him to Tyler Lockett going back to the offseason and in training camp. So I do wonder. It's one of those things where I want to keep Calvin Austin around because I wonder if a Russell Wilson getting this QB1 spot back, if he can unlock some of these other receivers outside of George Pickens. So Calvin Austin catches that ball early in the game. He ends up with a stat line of what, like 35, 40 yards? And maybe that's the momentum. Maybe that's the little bit of confidence boost that Calvin Austin needs, and a Russell Wilson, the Russell Wilson and Calvin Austin connection to like build upon. Maybe that's something that could start snowballing. Just maybe, because again, Russell Wilson talked highly about Calvin Austin going back. Compared him to a Tyler Lockett. And we know what that Russell Wilson-Tyler Lockett connection was like in Seattle. But if Calvin Austin is the thing that makes the Cooper Kupp trade happen, and maybe we're not giving up a second-round pick, maybe it's a third or a fourth-round pick, and we have to throw in Calvin Austin, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be hesitant to include him. I'm sorry. But if we have Pickens, Cooper, Kupp, we can make it work with the other receivers we got. Hell, then you could open up the door for Roman Wilson. You give Roman Wilson a chance to get out there. Pickens, Cooper Kupp, Roman Wilson. You still got Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller. Hey, that's not bad. Cordell Patterson's coming back this week, and I hope we include him in the passing game. That's a formidable unit right there when you're talking about passing weapons. So it may be unfortunate, but I could see the path to Calvin Austin being included in one of these trades. It's not something I'm pushing for, but if that's what it takes to get a Cooper Kupp. And listen, if we don't get Cooper Kupp for whatever reason, I'm not going to be happy. But if we don't get Cooper Kupp and we're talking about including Calvin Austin in a trade for Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, any of that, I'm good. I'd rather take my chances with Calvin Austin and these receivers going forward. I think it's really like if you're talking about a Cooper Kupp or if DK Metcalf somehow miraculously becomes available, those two type of receivers, I'm fine including Calvin Austin with a draft pick. But all those other dudes, Mike Williams, Thielen, I was going to say Deontay Johnson. I still have Deontay Johnson written down as a potential trade candidate. I'm holding out hope that the Steelers can find a loophole to get him here if need be. A 3-team trade, we'll figure it out. Like a Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, those guys that I just mentioned, it shouldn't even have to take an additional player. It should be a late round pick. That's what would get those type of dudes. Those are tier 2, tier 3 dudes when you're talking about the wide receiver trade big board right now. Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, tier 1. Include a Calvin Austin. Include a player if need be, along with a pick. But everyone else, just trade a late round pick. That's all. We're not going to be as pumped as those dudes. I wouldn't be as pumped for a Mike Williams, a Christian Kirk, Adam Thielen. But if you're just talking a late round pick, that's low risk, high reward. Nothing wrong with the trade. I don't think they're as good as a Cooper Kupp, but not many people are. I'm not going to be happy if Cooper Kupp goes. Like, if he doesn't get traded, that's one thing. But if he gets traded and it is for something the Steelers could clearly afford, and it's to like the Ravens or what other team? I guess the Bills would be out of it now in terms of trading for a receiver. They already got Amari Cooper. If he goes to like the Ravens, what other team? The Chargers, maybe. Another AFC competitor, another AFC contender. If he goes to one of those squads and it's something the Steelers could afford clearly, then yeah, dude, that's not going to be good. What's the chat saying, man? Josiah Artileo says, nah, Deke, if you think Austin goes, he is vital to the pass game. He is the light when Pickens isn't open. He's got to catch the ball, man. He's got to catch the ball. We'll see what he can do with Russ. I think we got some good signs in that Sunday Night Football game against the Jets with a Russ Calvin Austin connection. There was something. There's a little something there. Could we build upon that? But if that's what it takes to get Cooper Kupp, you do what you got to do, man. Bro, here's the thing. We got what a casual saying. It's actually insane Yinzer hyping Kupp up this much after all the injuries while him being 31 years old, because he is that good when he's on the field. He's that good, dude. Super Bowl MVP, clutch performer in the playoffs, Triple Crown winner. And then look at his stats over these last 2 years when he is on the field. Dude's getting crazy targets. Dude's putting up crazy numbers. His per game averages are still up there in terms of being a top 5 elite receiver. It's just, you're right. He does get banged up more often than you would like. But Devontae Adams was just dealing with a hamstring. Now, I do think that was kind of a fake hamstring injury with the Raiders, but the Jets took the chance and traded for him. Sometimes you got to take risks. DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, if we want to talk about trading for receivers and there being zero risk involved, like, that's a tough thing to do. Receivers, certain players are available for reasons. Like DeAndre Hopkins, now he was available because the Titans aren't good. He's available because he's on an expiring contract, but also because we haven't been seeing DeAndre Hopkins be prime DeAndre Hopkins recently. But I think part of that has been due to him being on the Titans for sure. But he's also banged up a little bit. So who's the other option is my question. If we're not getting Kupp, who's this for sure receiver that's going to come in here and be the perfect complement and be lighting it up as our wide receiver 2? Who's the better guy over Cooper Kupp coming off of this injury? Presumably he's going to be healthy enough to play this week on Thursday Night Football. Who's better than that? All right, what a casual response. He says, I don't think he's bad, but man, he's so untrustworthy at this point in his career. I'd do it, but not for a second rounder. That's a steep price. What about if we make it a third rounder and a Calvin Austin? given that we just drafted a Roman Wilson in the 3rd round this year. You would have your top 2 guys taken care of with Cooper Kupp, Pickens. You still got your upside guy in Roman Wilson. You got the veteran presence with Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller. That's the type of roster. That's the type of unit that's playoff ready right there. Uno Creation says, screw it. Let's sign a free agent. It is what it is. No, man. No, let's not give up hope just yet. All right. Uno Creation says, D, you're not going to acknowledge that I told you we were going to wait to bring in a wide out. Are you talking about today? Or are you talking about for past videos? Okay. Yeah. You even said it earlier in today's vid. You say, D, I told you we was going to wait until the bye week to bring in a wide receiver. That may be true. Let's just not wait too long, you know? Don't want to be asleep at the wheel. We all know the saying, you snooze, you lose. We've been snoozing on some of these receiver trades thus far, but maybe that's the thing. You could talk about any phrase or any philosophy, any saying, and it could be a paradox. So I'm talking about you snooze, you lose, but patience is a virtue as well, right? They say patience is a virtue. Good things come to those who wait. So I guess it all depends on how you want to look at it and spin on it. But thus far, we have been a little bit asleep at the wheel with the big time receiver trades and receiver moves, with us missing out on Amari Cooper, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, and now most recently DeAndre Hopkins. But it could work out in our favor because we didn't think Cooper Kupp was available really like that to begin with. And now all of a sudden, with the trade deadline coming up, he's available. Like if you would have told me Cooper Kupp was a legitimate trade candidate in the offseason or early in this regular season, I would have put him up there with all those guys and probably being the top guy that we should be targeting. But now he just potentially falls into our laps a couple weeks away from the trade deadline because of how bad the Rams have been and some of the injuries that they've sustained. So it could work out in our favor, but like Dre Steel City says in the chat, don't wait too long. Don't wait too long. Almost like with DeAndre Hopkins. We just thought he was always going to be available, right? We thought he was going to be around. He's if it doesn't work out with a DK Metcalf or, one of these elite guys, we could always get a D Hop. But obviously not anymore. Chiefs wanted him more than us. And they paid what it took to get him, which was nothing, which was, my God, a 5th round pick. You've got to be kidding me. Some other, even if it wasn't us, some other team out there could have forked up a 5th round pick, right? Just to keep DeAndre Hopkins away from the Chiefs. But the unfortunate part is, again, like I said at the beginning, if it wasn't the Titans trading D-Hop to the Chiefs, it probably was just going to be another team because there's going to be so many wide receivers available when the trade deadline comes around. Some team was going to make a move with the Chiefs. Some team was going to be desperate enough for a draft pick and loading up on assets for the future. They would have said, yeah, here, Chiefs, let's help you out with that three-peat. Uno Creation says, I don't think D-Hop was the answer for us. If you're talking about him versus Cooper Kupp, yeah, for sure. I think Cooper Kupp's the better answer. But D-Hop wouldn't have been a bad answer. Iron Man BTMR says, hard to say how Russ's connect with Van and CA will grow. Hard to get a good idea with the 150 yards we averaged passing with Fields. It looked better with Russ. The passing game, the receivers looked better with Russ. So we could at least go off that. It's a 1-game sample, but I don't think it's going to get worse. Van Jefferson caught a touchdown. Calvin Austin had a couple targets, had a nice catch later in the game. Dropped the one that would have got us the first down when we were trying to keep the series going on 3rd down. But, hey, happens. Russ was looking his way at least. All right, what a casual. Talking about Cooper Kupp again, says 100% would do it for a 3rd. Now you're talking. I agree the risk is worth the reward. If Kupp is the target, press play ASAP. That's what I'm saying, man. Country Thunder is talking about Tyler Lockett. Bring in Lockett. He's cheaper. He already has rapport with Russ. Easier to integrate. The problem with Lockett is the same problem in a way with DK Metcalf. I don't think Seattle is going to be sellers at the trade deadline. They're 4-3. They just won against Atlanta. They think they're legit threats in the NFC for sure. And they should be. They should be thinking that. They played the Lions pretty tight a couple weeks ago. They just beat a team that's going to be in the mix in the Atlanta Falcons. They were 3-0 to start the season. They got pieces. They got a good defense. Like, Seattle should think they're going to be in the mix when it's all said and done with these NFC playoffs. Geno Smith, Lockett, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, defense, got a bunch of talented pieces. Brought in that head coach, Mike McDonald, over from the Ravens, defensive-minded guy. They're 4-3. NFC, kind of weak right now, actually. I mean, if you're talking about the Vikings and the Lions being the top two teams, Packers would probably be a top 3 team. Seahawks can beat any one of those teams on a one-game basis. If you're talking about out of a 10-game sample size, yeah, maybe Seattle only wins 3 or 4, but on a one-game sample, and that's all the playoffs are, if you get hot at the right time, I think the Seahawks will have a say. Steel City J says, Calvin Austin, a second-round pick for Waddle. Big dreams. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, especially with Tua on the verge of coming back. Uno Creations asks, you think A-Rod is going to sign Beanie Bishop's interception ball? Yeah, because he said so on the Pat McAfee show. I think we're all on the same page. Is anyone like dead set on not trading for a receiver? I think we're all open for a receiver trade. I think we all want something to happen. It's just about who we get and the compensation we give up to get them. I'm of the mindset of we talk about going all in. We talk about winning a Super Bowl. The offense just looked like what it did on Sunday Night Football with Russ coming back. Russ looking like he's back in his own right. Let's give ourselves a legit chance, man. I think we got a legit chance. I think that team that we saw go up against the Jets was a legit Super Bowl contending type of team. Like, we can go toe-to-toe with any team in the AFC, but let's put even more of a stamp on that. Let's give ourselves an even better chance to go up against the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, Bengals. Jack Kimball asks, what about Darius Slayton? I'm good, man. I'm good on him. Wouldn't be the worst thing, but that's not moving the needle for me. I weirdly think, though, Darius Slayton could be one of those receivers that Russ could make into a pretty good threat. Almost like in Seattle, Doug Baldwin. Like, I don't think anyone was considering Doug Baldwin this like top receiver or anything, but Russ and Doug Baldwin had this connection. There was a couple receivers that I think Russ elevated above what their pay grade was. So weirdly, I could see that if we added Darius Slayton. I wouldn't be like that thrilled about it. But again, if we got him, I wouldn't be against it. Last thing I wanted to bring up before I sign off, though. This is Russ's QB coach talking about Cooper Kupp. He went to Twitter and made his case for bringing Kupp in and pairing him with Russ. He goes, Cooper Kupp is not just a slot receiver. When healthy, Kupp is an elite Z receiver, a chess piece. Can play all over the field, can win on the entire route tree, and is a great blocker in the run game. Ever watched Russ throw to a Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett, both elite Z wide receivers? Not sure how realistic that potential trade is, but he would be a great compliment to the great group that they already have. If Russ's QB coach is saying it, I'm saying it too. I agree with that 100%. Absolute 100%. I think Cooper Kupp would be a great fit here. You could line him up all over the field. You got Pickens as your deep threat guy, the guy that you could chuck up the ball down the field. You could throw it to him, even if there isn't a lot of separation. He has a wide catch radius. And then you got Cooper Kupp creating separation in the slot or on the outside, being a really, really QB-friendly target. And has done it at the highest level, has that type of experience. You pair him with a Russ who also has that type of experience that has done it at the highest level. I think our offense is only going to be getting better if you had a Cooper Kupp. So that is it, man, for today's show. I don't think I got anything else I got to add. I think that's it. You guys got any additional comments before I get out of here? Manny Meek says, with Pickens, Kupp, Austin, we have all three levels of the field unlocked. Yeah, as long as we don't add Calvin Austin in the trade to get Kupp, then that trio could be solid for us. I still want to see Roman Wilson, dude. When are we going to see Roman Wilson out there? I saw some report today that Wilson has been cooking at practice. He's looked like one of the Steelers' top 3 receivers. I don't know what's going on with him, man. Is he in Tomlin's doghouse? I don't get it. They said it was a hamstring injury last week, but then Tomlin said the hamstring injury wasn't the reason he didn't play. It was because he missed a couple practices with the hamstring injury, didn't get enough reps. So Tomlin just kind of pushed him to the side for the week. I don't get it, man. I don't. Maybe with Russ being out there, the Wilson to Wilson connection could be something. But yeah, dude, exciting times with the trade deadline coming up and all these receivers being available, specifically a Cooper Kupp type. So let's make it happen, man. Let's make it happen. Sooner rather than later. Don't want to wait too long, like some of you guys have said in the chat. And then you wait too long, all of a sudden the Ravens get a Cooper Kupp. One of our AFC rivals get a Cooper Kupp. And that's not good because they get better and we don't get better. We need to get better to stay on track with a team like the Chiefs, adding a DeAndre Hopkins, a team like the Bills, adding an Amari Cooper. That's it, man. Manny Meeks asked, when is the next live? I will be back after the Monday night game. Monday night post-game report. We'll be doing it here live on Bleach Report, so tune in for that. Hopefully Cooper Kupp's on the roster by then. But if not, we got the whole bye week after that for Omar Khan to be willing and dealing, so hopefully something gets done then. But that's it for today's show. Stay chilling. I hope everyone enjoyed. Here we go, Steelers. Peace out.